I'm being a little lazy this week and I'm using my iPhone to record this video instead of my usual DSLR camera because it's just big and bulky, and this is just going to be faster and easier for me. So I apologize if the quality is not kind of what it usually is. So today I want to talk a bit about processes and systems, and very specifically about packages. Now, in our industry, we offer a lot of package options. A lot of businesses do. My business has tried this over and over and over again in different ways over the years, and for me, it just doesn't work. So if you're having a hard time with packages and with quoting clients for pricing, and that's something that's consuming a lot of your time, then this is an episode you really want to listen to. My name is Sophie Brancho. I am the owner of Sage Designs and the founder of eventcreatives.com. Thank you for being here again today. Closed doors, I'm a fool for your love. So this topic really is about systems in large part. And I want to kind of talk about first why systems are important. So even if you are a solopreneur, meaning that you run your business by yourself, or you've got a very small team who kind of come in and help you now and then, but essentially you're doing the majority of the work, systems are still really crucial. Systems and processes in your business are going to save you a lot of time and a lot of money. Systems are going to make your workflow more consistent so that you're providing the same level and quality of service to each and every client. And systems just make your processes so much easier. So down the road, when you are ready to start hiring people, you already have processes in place, which makes training someone else to take over those jobs so much easier. So today I want to talk about a very specific system that I started using in my business, which made my life so much easier. In fact, it saved me an entire day of work every single week, and I'm not exaggerating. If anything, this one tool that I started using has made it possible for me to start working on event creatives after 5 years of trying to get something off the ground. I finally now have a little bit of time in my schedule to make this work. So what is this sort of magical tool? Let me kind of give you some background on my business and sort of something that I sort of struggle with on a regular basis. So with me, our business offers so many decor options, right? So we offer rentals and flowers and draping options. So clients come to us for a variety of reasons, and sometimes that's just for a very specific element. So they might just need bouquets, or they might just need a ceiling installation, or they just might need some sort of rental, which is fine. Clients do that all the time. Most of our clients, though, come to us because they want everything. And so over the years, I've tried to do various things with packages, right? Or trying to just make it easier so clients kind of come here knowing roughly what they might be spending. Because trying to give clients information about money and prices can be challenging because our prices vary so wildly. A ceiling installation might cost one thing in one venue, and then another venue, because the ceilings are double the height and the space is double the size, or there's other challenges in terms of where we can anchor to, the price is going to be much higher, right? So that has to always come into consideration. So if you think just something as simple as a drapery installation, having such a wide array of options as far as pricing goes, apply that to just about everything else that we do. Flowers are really challenging because the price is really dependent on the types of flowers we're using, the size of the arrangements, the style of the arrangement, which is going to determine sort of how much product we need. It's going to be based on the seasonality of those flowers. So there's so many factors involved in pricing out bouquets and centerpieces and all kinds of things, right? So for me, what I started out doing was I would create these packages. Now this was very, very early on, having these like package options. Clients come in and I'd say, okay, we can do these elements for you, and it will cost you this much money, say per guest or per table or what have you. And then clients would come in and go, okay, that's great, except my venue already provides linen, so can we cut that out? Or we're actually going to do our own centerpieces, so can we take that out and maybe reduce the price? Or, you know, this package doesn't include a backdrop, and I'd really like to have that, so can we add that in somehow? So what ended up happening was every single time a client would come in, they'd look at our packages, and then they would deconstruct them, and we would end up building a brand new package from scratch, essentially. So I know that I'm not the only person who has done this. I know that photographers often offer clients package options for based on, say, the number of hours, where the event is taking place, how many locations they're going to. And so you've tried to build out these package options to make it really easy for clients to find something that works for them. But then you're going to have clients do the exact same thing to you. They're going to come in, they're going to say, okay, well, I really want this package, but can we cut out this album? Or I really want this package, but can we swap out 2 venues and do 1 venue, but still have everything the same and still do the same number of hours? And is that going to save me some money? And clients will do this with DJs with their packages. Okay, I want this package, but I'd like to add lights, or I'd like this package, but I'd also like you to add in the ceremony. And so they'll start just deconstructing your packages and then start building them back up. So you're essentially starting again from scratch with every single client, and you're having to do customized pricing every time, which can be super time consuming. So for me, what would end up happening is a client would reach out, and then I would get into information gathering mode. I'd be collecting as much information about the size of the event, where it was happening, how many guests they were expecting, how long it was, where it was in terms of distance from the city, and then trying to find out what their venues offered and what they didn't. So some places we're walking into an empty space and we literally have to bring everything in. And then in other spaces, the venue essentially provides everything: tables, chairs, linens, napkins. Chairs are nice, so you don't need chair covers or you don't need to replace them with anything. They'll even do centerpieces for you. So like we're really just bringing in kind of some accent pieces to enhance the space. And then of course the client's style is so different from one event to the next. So in one space with all of the exact same information in terms of size of guest list and what the venue offers and doesn't offer, we might be doing something very, very simple. And so the budget range is kind of low. And then we have other clients who want to do something very extravagant. And so the budget range is suddenly very, very high. So I've tried to mitigate this in different ways. So when clients would reach out, I'd try saying, okay, so our typical budget range is from here to here. And that would be helpful in a lot of cases where clients were coming and wanted us to do everything. But it didn't really give them a true idea of what they might be spending, because their details are obviously going to be different. In the cases where people then had very small guest lists, so for example, most of our weddings were doing 100 to 150 guests. So if our clients are coming in with 30 guests, then that price range is really super irrelevant to them unless they're doing something very extravagant for those 30 guests. On the other hand, if a client is coming to us and they're doing an event with 800 guests, and I'm giving them this average price range for 100 to 150 guests, then this is a steal. And they think, yeah, this is great. If you can do my wedding for that price, I am in. Except that then even when they're doing something very simple, they're still blowing that budget out of the water. So then what I started doing was saying, okay, maybe it's easier if we give an average price per guest, right? So if you've got 30 guests, it's going to be from here to here per guest, and you can multiply that by however many guests you have, and that will maybe give you an accurate range. Again, it's not super helpful in all cases, because in some instances, clients have spent more with me on a 30-person event than some of my clients with 300 people have spent on their event. So it's just not an accurate way to give people money information. And so I cut all of that out and started from scratch with every single client. Find out everything that they need, where they're doing their event, and I would build a rough estimate for them based on that information that they're giving me. And sometimes that was helpful. Like most of the time that was helpful, right? Because people are getting the information they're looking for. And sometimes clients would give me their budget. So they'd have some sort of arbitrary number that they'd come up with based on, I'm spending X number of dollars on my wedding. I know that my reception and food is going to cost me this much. My dress is costing me this much. I've worked out all the numbers, kind of what I'm spending, and now I've got this much money left over to play with. So most of the time that number was super arbitrary. It wasn't actually related to any knowledge of how much flowers cost or how much rentals cost. And so I was trying to fit these proposals into a budget that didn't really always make sense. And as a result, I'd have clients who were sort of underwhelmed by what they could get for that money, or overwhelmed by how much what they really wanted was actually going to cost them. And so I spent a lot of time doing proposals for clients who turned out not to be the right clients for me. And it took a lot of my time. And then mental energy as well. Like so much mental energy was expended on creating these proposals. One day I might be doing 4 or 5 of these kind of budget range estimates for clients. In addition to that, I was editing proposals for clients who I had already done formal proposals for and who were trying to tweak things to kind of get it to where they wanted it. And then I'd have new inquiries coming in by phone or email or wherever that I would have to also answer and respond to and kind of start to guide those guys at the beginning of their process, in addition to all of the other hats you have to wear when you're a business owner and all the other things that you have to do. So, I'm juggling all of this stuff. And for every single client, I almost have to sort of mentally place myself in their space and start designing top to bottom and fill that room with all of the elements that they need, which, when you're switching from one event to the next and you're doing that for 10 different clients every day, it's exhausting. And when half of those clients aren't a good fit for you anyway, it's an exhausting waste of time. So there had to be a better way. But for me, I couldn't find a better way. And so I spent years and years and years doing this and just trying to get faster at creating these proposals for clients. And I got pretty darn fast at it. I got really quick at typing numbers into my calculator and really quick at knowing what all of my rentals cost me. So all of that information was in my head. I didn't have to go and refer to a rental list because I already had all the numbers. So for those reasons, I was able to start pumping them out pretty quickly. But that's not helpful when you're trying to create systems, because then trying to train somebody else to do that job for me down the road, or trying to have somebody help me do that job, is really challenging because a lot of the information's in my head and there's just so many factors involved that asking somebody to do the same job in the same way at the same speed as me is basically impossible. So come along, we're looking at like July this past year, and I start considering using this new proposal system. And I'm thinking about it and I'm looking into it and it looks like a pretty good thing. So I sign up for the newsletter and I'm kind of just watching and paying attention and looking around a little bit. One email that comes through from this company is one about a budget calculator. And I went, that's interesting. So a little background, the program that I'm talking about is called Curate. And I'm going to do a full review on Curate in an upcoming episode because it's a really good program for a lot of reasons, but it has a lot of kinks to be worked out and there's a lot of things about it that I really don't like, and it's expensive. So you have to sort of take it for what it is, but it's still the best that I've used so far. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in another episode. But for today, I want to talk about specifically this one tip or idea that I got from these guys. So the owner of Curate, or the man who created Curate, has a floral shop and has done large scale events for years. And he created this budget calculator for his website. And to me, super interesting, right? Because if a floral designer who does primarily large event floral installations can create this sort of budget calculator for their site, when I know that flowers have so many variables involved, then maybe this is something that I can tweak and use in my business as well. So I went to his website and I checked it out, and it was really easy to use. It asked all the right sort of questions, and he had even gone so far as to give us the Excel spreadsheet if we signed up, which I was already signed up, so it was easy to get. Which you provide to your software developer to help them punch in all the right numbers to be able to create this budget. I took that information, I added in all of the other elements that were relevant to my business as far as rentals and other decor things that we offer, and I hired somebody to create this budget calculator for me. It launched in August, and I'm telling you, you guys, it has been amazing. Of course, it's not perfect. Everything is not perfect. There's definitely some kinks to work out, and there's some times when clients don't quite enter the right information, or some of the information is a little bit misleading, and so the calculator doesn't compute for sort of those kinds of errors. And it's just something you can't really work out, but it gives me a really good starting point. So here are the things that this budget calculator does for me. There are so many things, but here are like the main things. First, it saves me so much time. I am no longer punching numbers into my calculator and collecting information back and forth by email or by phone or by meeting just to give clients an idea of how much money they might spend if down the road they decide to hire us. So that's huge. That saves me literally a full day of work every single week. I'm not even exaggerating. The second thing that it does is it weeds out those clients that are really not my client. So there's, I'm sure, tons of people who fill out the budget calculator, get to the end, they get the sort of estimated budget range and go, nope, no thanks. I don't want to spend that kind of money. I'm out. And so the clients who do proceed to fill in their contact information and send the form on to me are clients who are comfortable with that range. It might be at the low end of the range. It might be at the high end of the range. There may be some things that aren't in the calculator that they might need in addition to. So we have to kind of work out those kinks afterwards. But at least I know that we're starting from a good point. The last thing that this budget calculator gives me is it basically provides me with my entire decor list. So I can take all of that information and start plugging it into my proposal system in Curate and create a proposal almost directly from that budget calculator. I have my checklist of how many wedding party members there are, how many guests, how many tables, where the event's taking place. So all of these numbers and information that I normally spend a lot of time gathering and collecting from my clients, I now have it in one place. It's all ready to go, and I just have to transfer it over to my proposal software. So I know for me that this budget calculator has been massive. It's gotten a lot of use, and we're getting half of our inquiries now are coming in through the budget calculator, which is phenomenal. So people are using it, they like it, and it's making our lives so much easier. So how can you apply this into your business? Even if you are not a floral shop or a decor company, if you're a DJ or a photographer or some other sort of business where you might have to offer packages or where your prices are dependent on how much of a service you're providing or how many products you're providing, then this kind of system might work for you. So if you want to do this for yourself, gather up all of the kind of information that you would have to ask your clients for. What information do you need? Do you need to know where the event is taking place? Do you need to know how many guests are going to be at the event? Do you need to know roughly how many hours the clients are expecting that they're going to need you for? And if they are giving you that number, is there more information that you need to be sure that that number actually works? Do you want a list of things that services you need to provide? So if you're a photographer, do they want formal family photos? Do they want candid wedding photos? Do they want ceremony photos, reception photos, or do they want just kind of mix and match of those elements? If you are a planner, do they need you to do some setup on their event day? Do they want you to just kind of be there to help answer questions? Do they want you to do a formal timeline? Is that something that you do or offer them the opportunity to do? So think about what services you provide and what information you need from them in order to kind of start giving them a budget idea. Now you can make these options as specific or generic as you need to. So for me, for example, a Chiavari chair rents at the same rate, regardless of how many chairs people are renting. So I know that that's always going to be X number of dollars. Whereas chair is just a one line in my budget calculator. So it ranges from chair cover, so at that price, all the way up to a chair rental. And I know kind of the low end of what somebody's going to need in terms of chair covers or chair rentals and the high end. So I'm giving a range and I'm being sort of general. Just you need something for a chair, whether that's a chair cover or some sort of specialty rental, you need something for your chair, and you can kind of create a range for that. So decide how specific and how generic you want to be with each of your categories and build in something that makes sense for you. The last thing you want to do is you always want to give your clients a range. Don't tell them this is going to cost you X number of dollars, because there may be factors that you're not taking into consideration. So for example, the client might tell you, I need all of these services, and you might say, perfect, that's going to cost you this much money, except the client failed to tell you that there are 3 different locations, each of them are an hour apart, and so that now has to be factored into your total amount. So don't ever give your clients one firm fixed price. Give yourself a range so you have room to add things or take things away, depending on what the clients actually need from you once you have all of that information. So what do you think? Is this a system that you could put into place in your business that would actually help you in some way? Would it save you some time? Let me know what you think. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts about the struggles that you've had with quoting clients and issues that you've kind of overcome or issues that you're still dealing with. So please send those my way. I would love to read through them and discuss those ideas with you. Next week, I'm going to be talking about a topic that's a little bit controversial, and it's hiring a photographer to shoot your work. And I'm talking specifically about hiring a photographer for an event day where there is very likely already a photographer being hired by the couple to shoot the event day. So it's a controversial topic because a lot of people primarily photographers, are very against the idea of other vendors hiring their own photographer coming in to shoot the day. And some people feel very strongly on the other side of the equation. So I'm going to talk about my side of it and my thoughts. And I'd love to have you guys join me for that conversation next week. See you all soon. Take care. Bye.